We're excited, man. We got a special guest today, Mr. Triple A. And we're super excited because he's decided to partner with us at the Elite Builders. And, I know you have lots of options to choose from. I guess I'm curious because your journey's interesting. I think you were with EXP previously and
Yep.
then went to a different firm and then are making the kind of pivot back to EXP. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that journey and what caused you to really take a closer look at this.
Sure. Yeah. Well, one, thank you both for having me on. I really just appreciate that opportunity. And thank you so much for being persistent too. So really, yeah, I started off with EXP, or not started off with EXP. It was with EXP before I was with the brokerage I was previously with for, I think, 5 years, 6 years. Really, honestly, the whole goal was I was with another guy in a group, and his name is John G. He taught me a lot of stuff. And as a newer agent, he definitely bring me on his wing. And but my goal was never to, really help other agents. Just to be straightforward with you, it was more about selling property. I mean, because that's all I knew about real estate, is that I needed to get some checks in. I needed to sell some property, and whatever, awards you want to deal with, whatever, stocks and all that different stuff. I really didn't dive into it at all. So I was there for like I said, for almost 5 years. Then I made a transition once, I was able to really start producing on my own, to this other brokerage that I previously was at. And, we had, a year there. And then I came across you guys' videos. It was literally, I want to say the beginning of last year is when I started listening to the videos. And I'm sure you probably heard this before, Aaron, but what's it called? When I first heard you, I was like, dude, what is this guy? Who is this guy? But overall, it was just like really the skills, the actual like tactics that I was like, dude, this is not just, get you motivated to go pick up the phone. This is actually stuff that actually helps. And it did. I mean, literally last year, we were able to do the most business I've ever done in my life on the listing side. And so once you guys opened the opportunity for me to join in, it was kind of hard to want to transition. I think I shared this with you, Aaron, is that, or actually, it was actually Jessica yesterday.
Yeah.
In regards to, I didn't want to be one of those realtors that hop brokerages in for the next thing. Once I started getting a groove and knew that, hey, I'm the one that actually had to produce, I didn't care what brokerages I was in, because I knew I was going to be successful. And so really going into and learning more about you guys and what you offer, and then obviously doing one-on-one coaching with you kind of just exploded my mind. And still, as you know, it was a little resistant, right, for the change, just because we had already made a pivot. But lo and behold, thank the Lord, we were actually here now. So I'm super excited. I'm ready to go. And should have did this a long time ago.
Yeah, I love that, bro. And I appreciate your testimony. And, we do hear that frequently with regards to kind of media being helpful as a mechanism for helping people tactically, right? Like, because, I like to play around and say most people teach mindset because they can't teach tactics. And being able to take that information and then apply it to the marketplace and have it actually work, because you're somebody who has built your business and grown your business in the same way that I did, which is outbound, reaching out, talking to strangers, setting appointments, pre-qualifying the appointments, going the appointments, presenting, handling objections, closing, and then getting price adjustments if they don't sell. And you just were aware, like, hey, this data and information is really helping me to do that more efficiently. Is that right?
Exactly. Yep. That was really it. And I actually, before that, there was, another person that was out there, but it was just like, the same authoritative way of just like, hey, we know best. We're the realtors. You do what we asked you to do. And so in this current marketplace, in these current, consumer, that doesn't work anymore. So
no.
It was just really awesome to see once I actually bought into the system, and actually put my head to the ground and learned to do what I was being taught, and actually practicing that and putting that into practice. it's when we actually had a lot of success.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned something that's super interesting, which is, previous kind of, I don't know, strategies or approaches were very kind of patriarchal, like I know you don't, very like authoritative, right? Specifically what causes you to believe, right? And what I'm aware of is that what you're saying is essentially that approach was much more efficient in an environment where people didn't have access to information. So in other words, like there was an actual time, and I know it's wild for me and you to think about, is there was an actual time where nobody had any access to any real estate information. So in other words, like there was like, they didn't know what their neighbor's home sold for. They didn't know what was on the market. They actually had to consult a book that would be printed once a week, right? So if you went in authoritatively, yeah, that would probably be pretty palatable and probably be pretty effective in an environment where nobody has access to information. Well, what I'm aware of, and is that has radically changed. Now consumers have access to more information than probably most agents do, and they're reviewing it all the time. So to utilize an approach that was built for a different environment, like you may have some kind of success doing that, but it's not, you're not relating and communicating with consumers in a way that's in alignment with the world that we live in today. Is that what you're saying essentially?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, it really was. I mean, I think you even mentioned that, or I think Jose even mentioned that, is that they probably know more about their house than you do.
Yep.
They're always checking it out. They're always doing it on that. So to come in there saying, hey, this is it, that's not the way to win it. And obviously that's not the way that, we've had success. So yeah, the things that the elite builders have been teaching, the skills have just been super crucial, especially in this current market. I think, if the interest rates were 3%, I think we could do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
But we're not there anymore. And so we're at 7%, 6.79, I think I checked this morning. So a whole different ball game. But yeah, coming at them, as a team, coming at them as, hey, we can do this together no matter what you choose. We're going to do this as a team. I mean, that was just a whole different perspective. And coming from my background before even real estate, and, in coaching, I was like, what? It's like clicks. Like we're helping them, we're guiding them to get to the result that they, when it comes to expires, where they first actually wanted to get to. So.
Right. So, and I love that you made that connection with coaching, because in that environment, the goal is to guide and lead. And the best way to help, and this as a coach in athletics, and it's true in any kind of guidance position, is the goal is to help people to self-discover. That's how you get buy-in. That's how you get, because you're going to argue with me, you'll argue with my information, but you'll never argue with your own. Right? It just requires, it's a higher, like I personally feel, I'm curious to see what you think, but like I personally feel that leading with authority is the lowest form of influence.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know there was another option. Right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's really what it is, because we feel like, hey, we got a license and we're the ones that, have access to the MLS. We should be able to tell them that. But no, yeah, that mindset change of, hey, we're going to help us discover what the best thing is for you. That's just been really a big part of the success. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I know another thing that we worked on is you got good at generating revenue. I'm sorry, Jose, did you want to say something? You froze, bro. I don't know if you're doing like the...
No, I was just going to ask, like, what are some of the things that he's picked up in the last couple of years that he's felt that have had a positive impact in his career? Because he said 2024 was his best year ever. And for a lot of agents, it wasn't like that. For a lot of agents, it was actually the opposite, meaning that it's one of the worst years of their career. For me, it was one of the best years, and I'm on pace to have one of the best years in 2025, which is insane. But I was just curious to see what changes you have made, or what are some of the things that you've picked up over the last couple of years from working with Aaron?
Yeah, well, I mean, the major big thing was actually practice. Actually practice. One thing, I actually said this at my event the other day. and I did give you credit for it for sure, but was that, amateurs practice till they can't get it right. I think Jose actually said this too, is amateurs practice until they can get it right, but professionals actually practice until they can't get it wrong. And that's just like, what? Like, I've been just practicing to get it right. Like, but being a student of the game and actually embracing it as like, this is my profession. Like, I need to be an expert at this, and taking control of that, right? To be straightforward with you, before even listing property, I was heavily buyers. Like, it was literally anybody and everybody. I talked to everybody. So I grew up in San Antonio, so kind of everybody knew who I was. And once I became a realtor, it seems like it was just super easy for me. But when those interest rates changed, it was just like a whole different ballgame. Hey, but I got to actually go do something. But learning the skills. Learning actually how to work as a team with the seller and actually have and kind of align those goals together. Like, hey, I'm only here to help. I'm only here to actually serve you, and being okay actually with not what is it called? Not being okay with the outcome, like not being attached to the outcome.
Unattached. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And so, the skills in itself, the practice, right? The content and the value that you guys have put. I mean, Jose, I don't think you even know too. There's been so many things that I've learned that it was just unreal. Like, actually, I remember specifically, and I think I even told you this on the court, after I scored a point on you. What you call it was that
a point on me.
Yeah, the coming soon campaign, bro. Like, literally, that locked up a person that was waiting 2 months to actually get a signed actual listing agreement right then and there. And it was after the fact that I actually left the listing appointment. And then I heard that on the video that you put on there. And literally, I called him back up. Hey, I just want to let you know we have a coming soon campaign. I forgot to mention it. Would you be willing for us to go ahead and just get the paperwork signed so I can actually get a lot more people interested? Boom, and got it done. It was just like, wow. So, I mean, literally, there's like endless amounts of things that I've used and really implemented. But just having the resources out there like that we have now, and forgive me, I'm actually learning to say we now, that That's we right. have out That's there. Right. Because it's just been super valuable. But like I said, just the way to talk to people, just the way to not after an appointment, we're actually here to find out if we can even help them out. Like, it's okay if we don't get the appointment. That to me was a big thing too, is that, hey, I was really eager just to get in front of them and then find out, hey, they're not actually ready to sell. I was like, that's just waste of time, waste of energy. And so, yeah, the scheduling, just the role playing, really just becoming a professional and expert at our game.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I'm hearing a combination of things. Hey, Jose Salazar, he said, I'm live streaming it. He goes, yo, 1 point is diabolical.
No, but he scored more than 1 point. But the way he said it after I scored a point, I just thought it was funny.
Of course you did, bro. Of course. So this is great. Well, I'm hearing a combination of things. One is there's some mental maps, right? Because one of the best things you can get from somebody who's a little bit further down the path is just access to the way that they think, because the way that they think allows them to do what they do.
Exactly.
So one of the mental maps is like, hey, I prospect to find problems. And to your point, you're like, wow, dude, I'm going to show up differently. I'm going to communicate differently. My intention is going to be different if I'm prospecting to find problems. And once I discover that you have a problem that I have a solution for, then I'll offer you the solution, versus being solely squarely focused on setting an appointment. So there's some, and then the other mental map about, am I going to go pro? What I like to share with people regularly is in my MLS system, there was 20,000 agents. There was only 100 that did more than $20 million in volume.
Wow.
So you have 20,000 people competing for 100 jobs. So I would propose those people are pros. So if I wanted to be a pro, what would my schedule look like? What would my practice schedule look like? Right? So am I going to go pro? And making that decision where I think previously, and I've shared this with you, like you're a solid person, like human, right? I know that you have people's best interest at heart. Like you asked me on a text, you're like, yo, would you go to war with me? I'm like, yep. I'm like, would you sit in a bunker with me? You were like, yep. So I know that you're like a solid dude. And in the past, though, you were kind of just relying, let's say, like on like talent, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe, and you know, maybe just being like a little charming. So you're like, yeah, like I could just get by on that. And then you recognize, oh man, there's a whole nother level when I take this seriously and I go pro.
Well, not only that, I also think it's like when you combine, like some people are naturally gifted and naturally talented and they have people skills. But when you combine that with like skill, then that's the winning combination. Like, so like I had an agent that worked on my team that was unbelievably talented. And what I would tell him, I was like, you know what you remind me of? And he's like, who? I'm like, Vince Carter. I don't know if you guys remember Vince Carter.
Yeah.
The guy was an animal, like had like a
crazy.
vertical higher than, like so much natural talent. But when you think basketball and you think about like Kobe Bryant or you think Vince Carter, who had more natural talent? I would argue that Vince Carter had more natural talent. But why is Kobe a legend? I'm like, he took the skill part to another level in comparison to that. So I think that a lot of people get by and do well, and you can do very well with the natural talent and natural ability, but there's a lot more risk with that strategy. And there's also a lot more, a lot less rewards as well too with that strategy.
Yeah. Well, and I think you end up plateauing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for you, Andrew, it's really, I shared this at the summit that we were at, which you were there, and I appreciate you making the trip. I remember going and shadowing Quentin, who partnered with us, and he sold 5,000 homes in his career. And I was like 27 at the time. And he gave me a picture of the puzzle. So in other words, you know, if I sat down with you and I'm like, hey guys, we're going to make this puzzle, and I dump out a 10,000 piece puzzle on the table, the first question you would ask me is, I want to see the box so I can see what it's supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. So here you were doing your thing. You're probably the top agent in your geographic, like you're just doing it, right? And then you got a picture of the puzzle of what that next level looks like.
Yep.
That's exactly right. So it's just, and you had the courage and the intestinal fortitude. Yeah, maybe you needed a little bit of nudging, which is fine. I'm happy to do that. And so is Jose. But to actually say, yeah, like that makes sense. And I'm going to continue to move in that direction. So that way I can be in proximity with people that are that picture for me. And then what's going to happen, and it's already beginning to happen, is you become that picture for others. And I know you have a heart for that, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I actually have a quick story, and I think I shared you shared this video with you yesterday or like 2 days ago, right? You know, when I previously was, like I said, was with EXP, that guy, John G, that's the one that made the video for me, where he was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he'd been in the game for 15 years, Jose, 15 years. And he obviously had the worst year he's ever had last year. And he was just like, what's going on? And I told him, you know, and he'd been watching the success that we were having here. And he was like, dude, like, what are you doing? I was like, dude, come over. Just come watch me, come see it. And he literally made a video for us as a testimonial that he just got 15 leads. He actually, on our role playing this morning, he locked up a $1.1 million listing. And he's like ecstatic. And this is somebody that kind of in your example, Aaron, somebody that I kind of looked up before, looked up to, before. So it's just kind of interesting how things are happening.
That's exactly right. And so you're the best version to help the version of you that you used to be. So then what's really interesting is like your growth actually becomes not for you. So I was having this conversation. I was having a leadership conversation this morning during like a Bible study. And I said the following. I didn't say it myself. I got it from somewhere else, but I thought it was interesting as it pertains to leadership. So, like a mustard seed. We know that, like, you do everything I do if you have faith as big as a mustard seed. And I always used to think about the seed. I don't know if you've ever looked up what a mustard tree looks like. The mustard tree is enormous. And what's interesting about the mustard tree is that it provides all types of fruit. Like, so one is shade and comfort for like animals when it's hot outside. Another could be like the bark. Another could be like the leaves. Another can be the mustard and the seed that it provides that we use to grind up and make mustard. And what's interesting about that is I said, an apple tree doesn't eat its own apples. That's fascinating. So the goal is to provide fruit for others, right? So like as you grow this awareness that you had, wow, dude, like there's like, I want to go pro. I've been like, yeah, this is cool. And like, I'm making a little bit of money, but like, nah, dude, I want to like take this to a whole different level and become a professional. Then simultaneously, hey, I want to learn the back end side of it. Cause when we first started working together, you're like, nah, dude, I don't have a CRM. I don't have systems. I don't really have staff. And you were doing everything yourself. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like we have to learn that skill so you can increase in volume, because a lot of agents get stuck and they think that their next level is like at a workshop teaching them what to say. And I'm like, bro, your next level is figuring out systems. Cause you can only grow the proportion that your systems will allow you to. Period. Like, I don't care how many cold plunges you do. I don't care like how much rah you do. Like, I don't care how many affirmations you do. Like, if you don't create systems, you're going to be inhibited in your growth. And then what I see for you next is learning. So that's a skill that you're learning and continuing to refine and hone. The next skill will be media and how to do story branded content, how to position yourself as a guy to help you solve problems. Next skill is attraction, because that's a skill and that's a game, and that comes with presenting. And figuring that all out. And at every step of the way, what you're doing is you're making yourself more fruitful for others. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that's really what and I appreciate you guys both, sharing that with me and kind of getting that through my head. It's like, man, this is something that we can give back, especially in this platform. We can give back, and it actually gives back, like over and over and over again. And so like just makes me want to help and coach and just help and guide other people on a different level. And it's a different feeling for sure. I've never really experienced this, especially in real estate. Again, it was more transactional. Like, I just want to get mine, and not really worried about it. But now I can see, just from the people around me in the short amount of time that I'm able to share that with them, how they need it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're lost. A lot of people have no sense of direction, and they're almost like, hey, look, like what was working before isn't working now. Like, what do I do, basically? And it's challenging for a lot of people, which is, I think, even more of a reason to kind of give back and kind of share a lot of these things.
Yeah. And gives, again, tactical information that people can use. I had this interesting awareness that, like, in traditional kind of companies or brokerages, the coaching and training that's being provided is actually not market tested. The market is very interesting, right? Because the market is impartial. It does not care. If it's valuable, people will pay for it and show up. If it's not valuable, people won't pay for it and they won't show up. So most kind of training or guidance in the real estate space, like let's say particularly in an office setting, it's not market tested. Because I would imagine that if they had to get people to pay for it, not that many people would pay for it, which is a demonstration of the fact that it lacks in value. Yep. And that's difficult. Again, I know that's difficult to say out loud. People think I'm being egotistical. I'm not saying that. I'm just stating a fact. It's just like what's true. So, I think that's why it's so important that we embody what it is that we're teaching. Because otherwise, again, like then it's more about like glorifying yourself. It's more about like glorifying like image, like I just want to say that I'm like a guide or like a coach or like whatever, versus like, dude, like I shared with Jose everything I knew how to list property in high volume. He's taken that information. He's become the #1 listing agent in Ventura County for 7 years in a row. Nobody's listed more property than him.
Yeah.
It's market tested. And, I think you have and you are, again, I see this as like leadership is really discipleship. That's all it is. So, you are beginning to start to share that with other people and now getting really excited, to go about doing so on a bigger and higher scale. So tell me this, like what, in that room that you were with those agents who are starving for that information, like, what do you think would be like one or two things? Yeah, look, somebody just wrote, yes, you are right. Things are difficult for people. Yeah.
Well, it's not even just agents. It's also like I was talking to Angel the other day about it, and he was like, look, dude, inflation is really kicking a lot of people's butt. Yeah. Meaning like it's not just agents, it's people in general as well, too. And the way Angel explained it too is like, look, imagine somebody's not consuming anymore. They're consuming the same amount as 4 years ago. Now they're spending 30 to 40% more.
That's right.
Even with consuming the same exact amount. So if their income's not going up, even if their income is the same. So for somebody that's not growing their real estate business, maybe it didn't grow, they're still worse off because inflation's kicking their butt.
Agreed. And I think what's happening too is as a result, I'm reading this really awesome book right now, which explains kind of the fiat system, which has to do with inflation stuff. And they were talking about like the consumer price index. It's like this basket of goods. Well, what's interesting is it's pretty a nonsensical like gauge of inflation because what's in the basket is based on how much it costs. So what people do is they take what costs more, which is usually healthier, better nutrition, and they take it out of the basket and they put stuff in the basket that is cheaper and of lower quality. And then they can say, look, you see, inflation's not that high. Like it's a silly metric, right? So I think that speaks to what you were just saying, Jose. And yeah, I think if you have the capacity to lead, you should. And I think our duty and obligation, not like it would be nice or cool, but the duty and obligation is to help as many people as you can and to be an example. So you're in that room, you're teaching the agents. What were you teaching them?
Yeah, we're just teaching them. Literally, they asked me just like, how did I do it? And so, that was actually my first event, actually even doing something like that. And so definitely a lot of room to improve for sure. That's for sure. But it seemed like everybody was kind of, just really needing it. Like, and that's really what I saw was needing it, the questions that they asked. But yeah, I just basically told them, literally I printed out this, which is my schedule, which has been super crucial. Because you and I and all of us know that, that's kind of the worst thing for a realtor is that we have nobody to keep us accountable, right? Yeah. And we feel like when we get into the industry, it's like we can do whatever we want to. We have no schedule, but this is a real job. And so by having a schedule, at least especially for the morning, that was real crucial to let them know. And you could tell like they were like, wow, the mornings, like we got to actually schedule that. And then I actually shared something that Jose actually shared at the summit, and I actually have it on my wall. I don't know if you can even see it, but it's that Anthony Robbins quote about focusing, right? And that was like, I had little Andrew, I don't know if you've seen the video yet, but I had little Andy pass the schedules out and that quote, because that is super crucial. If you want to focus, we don't really achieve the goals that we're looking for because we don't focus on anything. And then you and all of us know that real estate, there's so many different avenues to make money. And if we come from a point where I think majority of the people that were in the group, they came kind of the same background that I came from, where, my parents were from Mexico. They came into America. They basically live in paycheck to paycheck. I think my mom, out of 12 brothers and sisters, they're the only one that actually owns a house other than us. And so when we saw like, hey, property management or, rentals or whatever it might be, like you just want to go in everywhere where that money's at. But focusing on something that it will actually bring you income and actually help you and your family. That was really the big key that I wanted to push in there. And then whether it is calling or whether it is being, the best buyer's agent, I just know 50 listings is a lot easier. And I got this from Jose, a lot easier than doing 50 buyers. And, I have a wife, I have kids, and I want to keep them. So,
right. I want to keep them.
That was, the main points that we had hit, that day.
Well, even when I did something similar in my market where I did a presentation, I had to take 100 listings a year. And I started off the presentation by going over the data as to the top 10 agents in my market. So I did it one by volume, and I think by volume, 10 out of 10 were all listing agents. And then I did it by units. And when it was by units, there was only one person that 50% or more of their business came from buyers. And that person is now divorced.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually a solid statistic. Like,
I don't know the stats for the other ones, like for the listing agents.
sure.
But the way I looked at it, I was like, man, like it's so much harder to do 50 to 75 deals in buyers than it is 50, 75, 100 in listings.
Yeah. And what you're really seeing, Jose, is you're really seeing leverage in action.
Yeah.
So like, because the listing side is where all the leverage is at, it would make logical, and the friction is a lot less on that side, and the time spent per transactions is a lot less, maybe 8 hours or so from setting the appointment, pre-qualifying, going on the appointment, getting a contract signed, coming back if you have staff, maybe having updates, negotiating a deal, and then it closes. That you're seeing that play out. So one of the things that Jose, which you'll continue to find out, is really good at is like he will review data and make a data-driven decision. He'll triangulate ideas of people that are believable, but then he'll also confirm.
Yeah.
So like if I tell him like, hey bro, all leverage, like I might have a conversation with him. Here's how it would go. I'd be like, he's like, yeah, dude, I'm doing this and this. I'm like, hey, you can't be world-class at both. You're going to have to make a decision. All the leverage is on the listing side. And what I did is I made the decision to stack all of my time on that side. And he'll be like, okay. And then he'll go and do what he just did. Data and study. And then he's like, yeah, that's true. He'll come back to me and be like, bro, I did this study and it was true. I'm like, yeah, I know.
What I think is that there's a lot of people that say a lot of things, and some of those things are not true or factual. And if you take everything for face value without doing a little bit of research, you might find yourself victim to that thinking. So there was a very common saying that people would say, when interest rates go up, prices come down. And I was like, is that true? I went back to the 80s and I'm like, what happened in the 80s? And when in the 80s, I'm like, interest rates went up and prices went up. I'm like, huh. I'm like, interesting, So I basically fact check a lot of different things when people say things, and I'm like, is this actually true? And if it is, I'm like, great, awesome. But if it's not true, then I'm like, hey, like that's when I'm like, hey, I kind of did my own research, and that's not true, Yeah.
And it's interesting because me and Andrew actually had this conversation when he was thinking about like models and stuff like that. And what I essentially shared with him, because he wanted me to have a conversation with him about like features and amenities. And I said to him like, hey bro, like I'm open to doing that, perhaps maybe with somebody else. And I'm like, I'm open to doing that. At the same time, I'm not convinced that it would be fruitful. He's like, I'm like, well, you have two people that are convinced that they're right. And what you have to decide as the consumer of data is who you're going to believability weight their judgment. Right? Long term. So judgment meaning like what's best for the long term. So who has a demonstrated track record of good judgment over an extended period of time that you're going to believability weight their thinking. So in other words, like let's say we're sitting at a table, we're trying to make a decision about currencies, and there's one guy who's a banker and there's another guy who worked for Bank of America, but there's another guy who's the Secretary of the Treasury for like France. I'm probably going to believability weight my choice and what that person's saying, him or her, right?
For that specific topic.
For that specific thing. That's exactly right. So like if Jose has an opinion on pickleball, I'll be like, that's cool.
Yeah. Probably not the highest.
But it's probably not the highest.
As opposed if I have an opinion on basketball.
Right. Yeah. But ask him what happened when we bowled, because that didn't end up well for him either. So, but yeah, but that's difficult, right? To recognize that, hey, as I'm consuming data and information, and I think this is true in all things. So let's say we're talking about selling property in high volume. Let's say people are telling you to do one thing, some people telling you to do another, Well, here's Andrew, who's listed whatever, he did 50 listings last year. I would probably believability weight my what he's saying over what somebody else is saying. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say somebody's giving you business advice. It's like, okay, well, let's look at their track record in that space, and let's look at this other person's track record in that space. So one of them has a demonstrated track record of good judgment over an extended period of time, and I should probably weight my decision and choices based on that. So what we have here are people that are committed to being professionals and listing property in high volume. So if that's not what you're interested in, you probably shouldn't listen to anything we say.
True.
Right?
Well, I think it's the same thing. Like sometimes, like when Aaron has made certain comments online, people are like, "Oh, that's not true." Like, "Oh, open houses are." He'll say things like, "Open houses are a waste of time," and people are like, "Oh, that's not true." What I also think is that truthness has to do with your goals. You know, can you get a deal off an open house? Absolutely. Can you get 2 deals? Absolutely. Can you get 10 deals? Yeah. Can you get 100? You know, so I think it kind of depends on the goal as well, too, you know?
Yeah, I think it's the goal. And I also think what is interesting, those are my favorite, by the way, when there's like 100, like, no, it's not, that's not true. How dare you? I did 1 deal last September. You know what I mean? But to your point, truth is actually on a spectrum. Yeah. So there's like levels of truth. And what's also true is something can be true right now, but it doesn't mean it's always true. Yeah. So like foreclosures were banging in 2007 and 8 and 9. That's not always true though. It was true then. It's not always true. Right. So it's freeing yourself to be able to think in probabilities and think on that spectrum. And what you're beginning to recognize, what you're developing, Andrew, really, and one of the things I really appreciate you like for, and I want to acknowledge you for, you said to me, like, bro, why would I reinvent anything? Like, why would I do that? I see so many people like over entrepreneur things, like overthink things. They want to tinker with. He's like, dude, he basically, Jose, he said to me, I think it was yesterday, today. He's like, bro, you just tell me like where to go. And I'm
yesterday, yeah.
Yeah. Like you just tell me where to go, what to say, what to do. I'm going to do it. And I think that's like, it's such a, it's such like a wonderful awareness. Recognize like there's nothing new under the sun. Whatever you want to accomplish, somebody's done. So the fastest way to get there is to find somebody who's done it and then just copy what they did.
Well, even when I was looking to grow social media, I remember I told Aaron that I found somebody in a mastermind group that I was a part of, and he gave me a formula. I followed it, and once I followed it, I started growing very rapidly.
Oh yeah, I remember. That's the Monet guy, right? He said TikTok and was like, "Nah, bro, this is what you're supposed to do."
And once he taught me, I was like, man, like this is, and it's funny because I see people in that mastermind group and he's taught a very similar formula to 2 or 3 people and every single one of them is blown up.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yo, you got to get me in contact with him, bro. What are you doing? You holding out on me, bro?
Nah, not at all.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Never do that.
I know. Never that. So, all right, good. So then tell me about what you're like most excited about, Andrew, now that you've finally made this commitment and decision.
Most excited that I'm actually here now. That's the truth. My wife is super excited. Andy's super excited. The kids are excited. I guess it's just been like it's just an awesome thing because we've been following you both like for already a year already. So, you know, when we went to or when I went to Florida, you both know I usually try to take everybody with me, which just wasn't able to do that. And so that's why I had to take a picture with you, Aaron. Like I had to tell Andrew I'm with Aaron. Like he knows Aaron, he knows Jose, he knows the role plays. I mean, literally, he was role playing with me last night. Like Avocado Street, Dad. Like so, but I'm just super excited, man. Like I just really am where I've never seen myself in this position, and I think that's again, you know, a testament to you both. Like where we could actually reach our goals a lot faster just by helping more people. And, you know, Jose too, I remember, you know, he was telling me about the properties that he has and the years he spent doing that. And then obviously the rewards he's reaping right now for that. And then also that he showed me the perspective of, hey, you know, I've only been here for a fraction of the time helping so many other agents get to where they need to get to. And it's actually giving me substantially, if not even more in the future than what these properties are going to do. And, again, kind of in my mind, I was like, well, no, I want to build property. I want to.
Yeah.
That's just something that I guess we're just ingrained with. And so I think you had posted something on Instagram about your ADUs, right, Jose?
Yeah.
I had messaged him. I was like, dude, I'm excited. I mean, because I'm getting ready to do my first 6-unit apartment complex. And so I was like, wait, I can't wait to get to that point. He was like, bro, rev share and helping other agents is so much better. It's just that everybody in the public feels that the apartments are more glamorous.
Yeah, it's more of like a status glamour sort of thing.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I'm just excited just to embrace everything. And like I told you the other day, dude, whatever you guys need me to do, like I'm just going to do it because you guys are already there. I mean, Jose is the best realtor in his county for the last almost 10 years. And then you have done it for decades as well. And I'm barely even breaking through the surface. And so just need to do what you guys are doing and try to do it at a high level. So I'm just excited, man. I really don't know exactly what it is, but everything about it, I'm just excited, bro.
I love it, bro. And the really cool part is like previously, this is how powerful this model is. So it went from, hey, here are these guys maybe providing some value with their content and I'm using it to make money, to now we're partners. How awesome. Like that's wild, right? And now, like previously, and even in our kind of coaching relationship, it was like, yeah, I'm helping you so that way you work on your business sort of thing. But now we're actually building a business
together.
That's crazy, right? Yeah. And we get to use all of our talents, all of our different skills and abilities together as a team to, again, build out something. And I shared it with you, and it's true for me. Like I view this like a ministry. The more people we can get into it, the more we can pour into them, love on them, add value to them and help them. Look at Roy. Roy's always here. He said, these Mexicans are inspiring me. That's dope. I love it, man. So awesome, bro. Well, listen, man, I know that your day is busy. I know you got lots of appointments to get to and stuff. So when is the next event that you're going to do? And if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to be doing an event at least once a month. We already kind of locked up a location with a partner of ours in the title companies.
Sure.
And so we're going to get that organized, and we're going to be doing that hopefully like the very first week of every month and going forward. And then so if anybody needs to get a hold of me or need anything here in San Antonio, 210-551-2316, or you can hit me up on Instagram at AAA Real Estate San Antonio. That's AAA Real Estate San Antonio.
AAA, baby. Hey, Jose, at the leadership retreat, can we do a basketball tournament and we film it?
Of course, bro.
Oh, hey, of course. Hey, you guys got to play at the summit, didn't you?
No, but I'm actually headed out to Texas this week, so we're trying to set something up for like Sunday night or something.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Hey, Jose, he will do whatever it takes. I promise. if you're like, nah, bro, I'm busy till like 10 p.m., he'll be like, all right, I'll be there at 10:15.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Believe me, I got everything ready to go. I told my wife I'm going to go beat him real quick and I'll come right back. I love it, bro.
You know what the worst part about that is? I have a neighbor. He's across the street from me. And he's a cool cat. And when we first moved in, he's like, hey, want to play a game of horse? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he starts talking a little bit of smack. And then I tell him, I'm like, you know what the worst thing is, bro? You're over here talking to smack. Your family thinks you're really good. But you're going to have to go back home and they're going to ask you how the game went. And you're going to have to tell them that you got your butt kicked. And sure enough, it like, they don't even ask him like how it goes anymore, basically. Like, they don't even ask him. They're just like, yeah.
Yeah,
so that's gonna be the worst part, that you're gonna have to go home and be like, oh man, like
well,
Jose, like when he hits the door, he's like, how'd it go, babe?
Then he's gonna say, oh, like there was wind inside the gym, like
no, so that's why I really like that last time, dude. I've never felt Fort Lauderdale wind and like that in my life, bro. We're trying to shoot.
Oh, no, that was
like, you know what was funny is both of you guys missed. I think I played the best game of basketball I ever played in my life. Like, because
from Florida, that's it.
What's his name was looking for? Jose was looking for a basketball. And I don't know where you were, Andrew, but like we played with everybody. I think I dropped like 7. It was like the best game. I think because it was windy, it makes my shot that's normally off. It was like going in all the time.
Yeah, as soon as I came on the court, he was like, "Yeah, I got to go to the beach." I'm sorry. I was like,
This is good, bro. We're gonna have to like at events have like the it'll be like the Olympics, so it'll be like basketball, but then we'll have to play like other sports too, like pickleball, maybe soccer, volleyball, football.
Volleyball would be cool.
Get them all in. Well, awesome, bro. Listen, man, welcome. You are now a part of something that's bigger than yourself. And what I'm aware of is you will add tremendous value to a whole bunch of people. And we're appreciative of the opportunity to be partnered with you and excited, bro, for how many people you're going to help and how many people we can help together.
Awesome, guys.
Sure.